again for tuning into another episode of Shoot the Ish, episode whatever. But the bottom line is, I like to start by saying happy Black History Month. And this episode will be the last episode for the rest of the month. And I wanted to end it with a final episode, going a little bit in depth. But, I could have had the episodes about what's going on with R. Kelly. Could have had the episode about what's the update with Jesse Smollett. Talk about some sports or whatever. But, that's typical. And guess what? We got the month of March to start getting back to the old ratchet shit, though. But, I want to start by saying something from the beginning, right? And, those who know me know I get on to my black power this. But I realize when I talk, sometimes people misinterpret what I'm really saying, right? So, like, for example, with the R. Kelly situation. When you bring things to light, that doesn't mean that you're defending somebody's behavior. When the accusations is against R. Kelly, doesn't mean that I agree with a pedophile. It's like people who have a tendency to say, hey, well, when you bring up R. Kelly, why you guys always got to go or bring it to white this or white that? It's not really about white. It's just an example of showing you how injustices are viewed within the country. So it's like, okay, all right, R. Kelly did something. Yes, he should be crucified. But it's always, as a black person in this country, it's like, well, interesting, we're quick to crucify this person. But what about the other people who've done it? It's not a big deal. So it's almost like we still, no matter what situation it is, we get the brunt of it. It's just like Jesse Smollett. Crucify him because he made falsified accusations that he lied to the police saying this happened, therefore causing them to waste money to search and stuff like that. And they're about to crucify him. But I'm sorry, when I bring up white folks again, like the lady with Emmett Till, right? She falsified information which caused the young boy to die. She's still alive. Has she gone to jail? No. So it's almost like, oh, wait. We're not saying that Jesse was right. What we're just saying is be fair. And I think that's the gist of everything. Or how I'm going to really talk, the in-depthness of what I will talk about during this podcast. The fairness. We've always just looked for shit to be fair. We're not looking to have more than. We're just looking for shit to be fair. I know we have gangbangers on the street that kill each other, black on black, and it's crime, and everybody loves to use the term black on black crime, right? But we're not justifying that. We're not justifying anybody with criminal act. And it's like the guys who shot. No, but let me just be honest. They didn't shoot anybody. They were supposedly robbing a store. They robbed the store, and undercover cops was there. Somehow, other cops came on because they knew it was a burglary. They started shooting. Cop get killed, and another cop get injured. Now they're crucifying the shit out of those boys, black guys. Now, am I justified? Am I saying they should have been in a store? Am I saying any of that? No. But what I'm trying to figure out is like, look what happened. Now, death is death. I don't agree with anybody getting killed. But again, look what happened. There are situations where white folks have always committed certain crimes. Would fucking come around, shoot, kill a bunch of people, and somehow they never got killed. They got arrested, you talked them down and said, hey, put your gun down, put it down, I'll shoot, put your gun down, get arrested. Now what happened in this case, the cop that died, it was friendly fire in New York. It was friendly fire, right? But he really got killed on the same issues that we're still having with today. It's just easier to shoot and kill black folks. What happened, they said, shots fired. Now, the irony behind the story is that the motherfucking black dudes had had fake guns. So in reality, again, nobody justified, and don't get me wrong, nobody justified the fact that they were committing a crime. And maybe indeed they could have got shot. But it's almost like, why does it always have to be different when it comes to us? And again, that's not justifying any crimes. It's not justifying what should be done. It's just like, only thing I'm asking for, just be fair. That's it. There are situations in where you have a tendency to believe that, when we as African Americans, we say things like, we try to be prideful, and you have to understand why it seems like it probably comes across totally different when we do it. Because you have to understand, you've been told all your life what's not, like, get over it, don't do this, don't care about it, what's the big deal? And you've been vilified every time you think to uplift yourself. Anything you do to better yourself, you've been vilified. And I would say, having pride in yourself does not mean that you have a lack there for others, or you care less for others. Being prideful does not mean you are biased against someone else's race, has a prejudice against someone's race. Shit, if you really look at my family now, I have white folks in my family. That doesn't mean that I'm going to stop how I view things or stop the way I think. I just want to believe in having pride. Because one of the things, I don't do this because I need the knowledge. I do this because it's Black History Month, right? And I knew when I was in school, I hung around people who, we were prideful. We tried to understand. We tried to have knowledge of self and things of that sort. And I think it's very important. I think anybody should always try to know where they're from, where they come from, the reasons to why, or understand ways to better yourself. So I would say, being that this would be the last episode for the month of Black History, I just want to go a little in depth about a subject that I've been trying to really understand. And that's going to be a topic on Haiti. And I would tell you that it really made me question ways that, or the way I viewed things growing up. And it made me really look at shit in a whole different way. And I started to understand, like, wow, even me, at my age, I'm still learning. And I think, like, this is the age of information. So most people, and while I was doing it, I would speak to other people, and they'd say, like, how the hell you know all this? I was like, you want me to tell you? I gave a fuck. I cared enough to find out. Because if you care enough to find out, believe me, you'll find the information that is only if you want it. And I just wanted to be able to talk about something that I don't think most people did know. And let's get into it. I'm going to start with just a story about myself. As a young boy, you realize that, let me just keep it real. As a young black boy, I realized through my life, even as a kid, used to joke a lot, used to, as we call it, Jones on people. I realized me, and I can only talk about me, I would grow up saying, that's why your mama black as hell. That's why you big nappy head motherfucker. You big African booty scratcher. That's why you ashy as hell. You big dry face. You big dirty. Like, just with insult, right? But this is just me growing up. I even remember a situation, and those who know me definitely remember it. I was in high school, and I was sitting at a table full of my classmates, and we were just all talking. I was like, yo, you know who stink? Haitians be stinking, yo. And then everybody looked at me like, oh shit. It was like, yo, Dave is Haitian. I said, get out of here. Dave ain't Haitian. They was like, yeah, he Haitian. And I was like, he don't look Haitian. Another whammy right there. And that's an awakening just in itself at that point, right? But even though that was awakening at that point as time, even throughout my life, I'll meet a girl. I was like, damn, she look good. It was like, yo, you know she Haitian? I was like, Haitian? She don't look Haitian. She too light to be Haitian. Haitians be black in a negative connotation when I use the concept of black. And I'm just being honest. Look, I feel like if I'm going to do a show, I'm going to be honest, because at the same time, I understand through honesty comes growth. And what I come to realize as I got older, I was like, wow, where did I get these views from? And I realized it's ignorance. At the end of the day, it's ignorance. And I'm not far off based on the way that we even view things as a population. I always said, if you put a kid in front of a TV and you just leave him there, he will walk away having a black child in front of the TV. You would still walk away, and it's 2019. A little bit more positive images, but you would still walk away with a lot of self-hatred. Because I seen a commercial the other day, a woman doing the hair. It was like a hair product. And everybody else was coming, different races was coming in here. Then they showed the black woman coming in. It's like, she's like, struggle, right? So that image, even though they didn't say it, but the image is showing you that even that, your hair is something to frown upon. So that's something that reflects who you are as a person, but they treated it in a negative way. Even it was if you ever saw the movie Malcolm X, they talked about the without saying it, but anything that's related to dark, it's always has a negative image. Like the white cake is angel food cake. The black cake is called devil's cake. So, without indirectly telling you, it's telling you something. When you watch TV, the blacker you were on TV, it was either the more thug-like, the more, I would say, the more uneducated, you were in jail or getting arrested. The lighter you were showing that you were going to college. You were showing that you had a relationship. You were something stable. You were considered beautiful. They would put your hair straighter. So, without them telling you, you're creating these images of what you desire. So, when you really think about it, I can't hold fault on somebody having these, oh, this is my preference, or you see black men or black football players have white women, and when they get popular, they gain money and things of that sort. It's understandable. Like I said, it's always, you have to understand why this happens. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about, I think last week in reference to Gucci. If you've been told all your life you couldn't have this, or you couldn't be this is, and you sit in front of the TV and they say that this is something that you don't see in your neighborhood, everything, but this is always presented as beauty to you, you're gonna want it. And when now you finally have the opportunity to be in reach or within feet of something that you desire, majority of the time while you were growing up, 9 times out of 10 you go towards it, and now you have the opportunity to have, and what you've desired now desires you as well. Now, it's not really, like I said, I'm not really here to preach. If you gain something from it, I hope you do. But I just feel like we have children, right? And whether or not, look, you don't gain anything by not learning. Any little bit, any type of knowledge I learn, I believe in that whole saying, each one teach one. And sometimes you break it down in certain layman terms, or you break it down in a way that somebody can be like, look, if you can walk away from a podcast, or you walk away from the information that's been given to you, and you really say, you know what, let me look at myself a little deeper and make myself a little bit better. Because if you gain knowledge of self and then you don't change at all, that says a lot about you as a person. But sometimes you have to look at yourself and be like, you know what, I am guilty of that. Now I understand why I am guilty of that. But sometimes you don't even realize that you say some of the craziest shit. Like, she's cute to be black. She's cute to be dark skinned. And even saying that, that's saying literally like, she's cute to be dark. Because normally, dark isn't cute. But if you ever realize, it's like, you ever realize most people, white folks, sometimes have a tendency to be like, oh my God, he's so beautiful, he's so dark, he has this, like, it's almost like still looking at you almost like in a pet way. But if you understand the plight of things that's literally happen in this country that we still live in today, and we still facing a lot of shit that we face from years and years ago. Because again, like I always say, that bothers me, how sometimes people say, oh, that was a long time ago. Oh my God, you guys still gripe on the same shit. But you can only say that if you don't understand your history. And what I've learned was that my history does not only just end here. My history goes further and further back. Understanding that, not to say that only thing we were ever acknowledged to be were slaves. Obviously, we weren't born slaves. Africans were not. They came from royalty. They came from dynasties, conquerors, and everything like that. But again, if we're not taught it, if we're not told, we're going to only think that we started out as slaves, and that's all. Like, when you think about black folks, we started off as slaves and then we got to where we at now. And just to keep it real, you're still dealing with the same shit. Still dealing with the economic issues, political issues. Let's think housing issues, credit issues, image issues. You're dealing with so much diversity. And again, it has nothing to do with Trump. It's been going on this way since forever. It's just the fact that this is an age of information. So those who probably couldn't speak and like down the street walking with the blowhorn talking what they got to talk, now you can do it from your home. You can do it from a podcast. You're able to reach the masses through and express yourself. And hopefully people will be able to see, understand what you're talking about. Because again, like I said, I'm not doing this on the basis of who I am, because I know knowledge is self. But the reality, I do it on the basis that each one teach one. And just sometimes I feel like things aren't expressed in certain ways. And like I said, this has nothing to do with to knock somebody else down. No, it's about opening your eyes to something different. And as I stated, this podcast is going to be about Haiti and the Dominican Republic. You're probably saying to yourself, Cliff, hold the fuck up. Why are you talking about that? Well, you're not Haitian and you're not Dominican. So I'm confused. What the fuck? Why do you care? The reason I care is because it opened my eyes. It was something that I learned about, and I really said to myself, like, oh shit, I never knew it. But then it actually still brings everything to what's happening today, even in this country. It still brings the struggles that we in America still deal with. It still deals with diversity. It still deals with political, economic powers. It still deals with the fact that we'll show you your place and the ramifications that if you ever try to be better than what you are, we'll show you that you're not. All right, let's get into this, right? So, I'm talking about Haiti and DR. I'm going to say the reason this made so much sense to me, because it brought certain things, like I said, it brought a lot of things that I didn't even know. Like, seriously, I did not know. But let's just start. I'll just even talk about it. Like, so when you think about all the stuff that's going on between Haiti and DR, and basically for those who don't know or have been on the rock, it's always seemed like it's been a war between the two. And, you know, they're like, I know somebody was saying something about that. If you think white people are racist, you should see that, you know, most Spanish people are racist against blacks, right? And I used to tell people, I was like, how could that be? You know, they're black too. Yeah, the fuck right. No, they don't believe that. They don't believe it. Now, true indeed, I know some Dominican people and they on their shit. They understand, knowledgeable, right? And they get it. What DR and Haiti is it was originally called Hispaniola. Now, I may be saying it all wrong, which I probably am. I'm probably jacking it all up. But it was conquered by two European powers, which was actually France. France took over the Haiti side. Spain took over the Dominican side, all right? Now, what was interesting was that the Great Britain came in and ravished the shit out of Haiti. See, I'm gonna break shit down. I don't want to seem too educational, I want to just break it down in layman terms for those who we just gonna talk like we having a conversation. So 90% slaves occupied the the Haitian side, because the French came over and said, we're going to get all and because, see, what people don't know is that continent, or that island itself, was like probably one of the richest islands in the Americas. Let's be honest. It had so much resources and everything, and trade, sugar cane, everything. Rice, I mean, not rice, you had the beans, you had the coffee, you had everything. Very rich. So French decided that they would ravage the country, work the shit out of the fucking slaves, right? And the difference was Spain, what they did, they actually killed off a lot of the indigenous people, but they kept some there, right? But instead of staying there and ravaging that part of the land, they still went out to like Mexico, get gold. They still were traveling. Then they came back, and then they started to intermingle with the rest of the indigenous people, right? But now let's go over to the Haiti side. France was fucking the slaves up, right? Overworking the shit out of them, right? And basically the workers said, you know what? Nah, y'all ain't gonna work us like this. We gonna start fucking y'all up. So they fought back. And, you know, they was gangster. They took they shit back. It was like literally the slaves literally fought back. And, you know, and what their whole purpose was like, look, we're gonna free this whole island for it to be us. We will fucking conquer everything. So basically, you know, the colonialism, they came in and they were oftentimes trying to get the country back to what it is. Try to take it back. They realized they couldn't, because them motherfuckers, look, Haiti did a lot of gangster shit. What they did was, they were a great symbol to let motherfuckers know, like, look, we fought back. We can get this shit. We can do it. They did stuff that, now that you think back, or during slavery, people say, why didn't the slaves ever fight back? And that was a mystery to why it never happened. But we have the result of if the slaves fought back, and that was Haiti. That was fucking Haiti, yo. They fought back. They gained their independence. But the fucking gangster shit was, all right, so you fought back, and they wanted to now be recognized as an independent state within the Americas, right? And the motherfuckers was like, the colonialism in the Americas and everything like that, they was like, fuck that, we not gonna acknowledge them. But, you know, if you gonna take this, and y'all gonna take this, if y'all gonna take Haiti, y'all gotta pay us back the money or the things that you owe us, a debt, which they had 30 years to literally pay it back, right? But they did pay it back, but in the process of paying it back, it broke the fuck out of that country, right? So basically, it broke them. And then remember, you had the Spain over on the Dominican side. Now, when you had the Spaniards and everything over there, they decided, like, you know, look, we're not helping, because remember, Haiti fought back, right? Haiti fought back so that they didn't have to be ruled. The Dominican side, they got cool with what was going on with Spain and colonialism and everything of that, so Great Britain, whatever. So they were funded. They still were getting what it is that they needed. And so that's where you go to see more or less the separation from, because totally different language. French was over here, Spanish was over there. Now, the thing that brought attention to me, to be honest with you, that made me proud in a way, and I'm not even fucking Asian, but I am a descendant from Africa. And you finally saw why they wouldn't acknowledge that they were an independent state, because if you acknowledge that they're an independent state, that means you put the idea of all the other slaves in the Americas, they can rebel, they can fight back, they can do this. So hell no, what we're going to do is like, oh, you niggas want to fight back. Okay, we're not going to recognize you. We won't support anything you do. And we'll just leave you, being that we already ravished your land, we'll make it so that no, we don't trade with you, we don't do anything. So we will literally break your country, right? Which is kind of like basically saying, it's that situation again. Did that or did that not happen in America, where people fought, they gained their independence, and they were recognized? But we're not going to recognize this African state, this African country, who were made up of slaves who rebelled, and now it's theirs. If we recognize it, that puts the fucking wrong idea in your brain. What the fuck does that sound like? That's deep. If you really think about it, that's deep. We say it all the time, like in this 2019, man, we should have our own state. We should go back to a land that's ours. That's ours. If you really want to do that, you go back to Haiti. But it's an example of when you fight back against the powers that be will show you that you were wrong by doing it. So they're putting more fear. And that's why to this day, the land is still ravaged. There's no, there is still no help being run there. They're politically all fucked up. The economics that happen is even worse. One of the things that I did recognize, though, is that it comes based on the mistreatment, right? So when we think about the mistreatment of, now remember, they're so close together now. It's not like I would say that Haitians were, to a certain point, that I don't think Haitians were leaving to go to DR on the basis that they hated being Haitians. They was just going to a place where they felt like it would be better opportunity, because it was all known and the world knew that they were not being treated right. They were not, their land was ravaged, so they needed to have a place to be. So basically, I think it was 1929, the Dominican Declarations of Independence stated that if you were born within within Dominican Republic, you were considered a citizen. This was in 1929, I believe. And that's the same policy that happens within the United States. When you're born on a land, you are a citizen of that land. But the fucked up thing, this is what happened. Then it comes to 2010, that the Declaration of Independence in DR changed. It stated that now you must be born, you have to be born within the country to a legal resident within the country, right? Now, that's an interesting case in itself, because when you think about it, you go from 1929, then they change it in 1910. So in 1910, okay, only born on DR soil, you are considered a legal resident. But so that literally changed. First, it was as long as you were, as long as you were giving birth to NDR, you were a citizen. Now it says you had to be born to a legal resident within DR to be considered a citizen. That was 2010. Then come 2013, this is when I think it became more of a big deal within the United States, because I remember it. It then stated that No, in fact, no, it then went, in fact, that in 2013, that same policy that was in effect of 2010, what they did in 2013 was actually go back and retro everything, that policy that happened in 2010, it went back to 29. So even everything that happened, you became a citizen in 1929 because you were born here. So they went back in 2013 and seeing all those who were just born there, and they had a year to become citizens because, in fact, the new policy states you must be born to someone of a legal citizen within the Dominican Republic. So if you were not done, now they took it all the way back to 1929 and said, no, you got to get the fuck out, and you got a year to make that happen. And again, that's when I started, to be honest with you, that's when I started to just try to understand what the fuck was going on. Like, because then you would see a lot of it going on in the United States, like what's going on. People would be trying to beat on Haitians and from out of DR, and then you seen it, and then I was like, what? Their countries are so close. What the fuck? Like, why would that happen? Then, I mean, to be honest with you, I saw it. I was like, yo, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. But I never really ever went deep to try to figure out what was it about. I think one of the saddest things I seen was the fact that there were certain people that they shipped them out. And when they shipped them out, those people who they shipped out were literally Dominicans. They never been to Haiti in their life. They spoke the language. The only thing was they were dark. So if you were dark, they're looking at your papers to make sure that you were legal. If there was anything wrong, you could speak the language and everything, you were out. And remember, that's 2013, but if we go back in time, there were cleansings that were done within the DR that actually said, they wanted to make sure that they cleansed, so they would actually go through the country and get rid of or kick those out who were dark. Basically it was something that they said that you would literally be killed if you were, there was a word that you would say if you were Dominican, if it sounded a certain way, you would literally be killed because they knew that you weren't Dominican. But I think I can go more into this subject, but I think what it did for me is to understand that, remember, to be that close. And what I did find that it was like most Dominicans are like made up of 90% of black in them. But it's almost told to you that being black is a negative thing. And guess what? It's understandable where these ideas can come from. Colonialism fucked up everything. And America has always had its hand in just about everything that you can actually possibly think of. And it leads me to think about the things that happen now, like in today's society. Look at what's going on with Mexico. If you ever thought about Mexico, you look at that imaginary line from Texas that say, hey, you're Mexican, you're trying to leave. They're not leaving because they dislike Mexico. They're leaving because they're trying to get a better opportunity. Look what's going on in Venezuela. People aren't leaving places because they want to. They're leaving to be in better situations. They're leaving for survival. That's just, this land is very interesting in all aspects. Natural flight or natural order of things is survival. That's what we do. That's what we need. But it's always interesting when you look at historical events and be able to say to yourself, wow, that does correlate to today's society. That does correlate to look at, and to this day, Haiti is still ravaged. The Clintons raped the shit out of that country too. They took advantage of a country that was in need after the earthquake. And don't get it wrong, there was fucked up politics that happened in Haiti as well. But again, it's still somebody putting certain people in place so that they can still rape the country. I think when I think about Haiti, especially from what I've actually looked at and what I actually read, I realized it was like the bully took advantage of a situation. You lost, and you said, oh, since I lost, you get nothing from me anymore. I'm mad at you, and you'll never get anything. And it brings me to what's going on in the United States as of right now. We're dealing with Border Patrol. We're dealing with so many things that saying people can't come in, people can't do this, people not working. We're dealing with the fact that policies are the things that keep us down. We're still dealing with blacks in America still to this day. You would say to yourself, as far as entertainment, as far as sports, as far as this, why haven't we done anything to make ourselves better? Why don't we own that football team? Why don't we own that baseball team? Why don't we own that basketball team? Why is there less ownership? Why don't we have great communities? Why don't we have this? There's always a ramification to things that happen. Do we still have that slave mentality? Because we never was shown what can happen if you fight back. Or maybe we have been shown what will happen if you fought back. Yeah, you may have your own, but okay, you get your own. You still need backing. You still have your hand out, still trying to get recognition from the powers that be, because guess what? We have nations. Nations are based on people helping each other. Other countries help support. And they just said, fuck Haiti. And look, the country is still poor. So it all correlates to a lot of the stuff that happens to us now. Why doesn't this exist? Why don't we do this? But it starts from supporting. We are in the Americas right now. And why I say or talk about Haiti and DR, we have a Dominican population here in this country, a large one. Separation was always the best thing to always conquer people. Togetherness is how you win. Smarts are how you win. To be ignorant, to not understand why things happen, you'll always lose. Understanding history, understanding where you come from, understanding that, yeah, you know what? There was a time where slaves did rebel. And guess what? That country right there, that was an example of it. Because to be honest with you, I never knew that. I never knew it. I never knew it in depth, I should say. So, I know I said a lot and I left things not so more in depth. Just did it vaguely. But I just broke it down in certain terms that I feel like some of my viewers would look at it in a different way. Look at it. But I just want by no means to believe that this has anything to do with saying, oh, now hate Dominicans or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, Dominicans are just a people just like we are. Think about this. Slavery in America. You had the house nigga, and you had the field nigga. Now, the master was the one that was manipulating the same situation to make you feel like the house nigga need to stay right there. The house nigga can stay up in the thing, be around the white folks, live a little bit better than what the really slave was, but anything living better than what the fuck they were probably felt a little bit better. Therefore, creating a situation where you was like, the house nigga will look down upon the field nigga, therefore making himself feel like he was better than, not realizing you both were still fucking slaves at the end of the day, and will get your motherfucking ass killed with the quickness. But who was the one who oversaw everything, who put those situations in place? The master himself. So you have to understand, things were done not just overnight. It was done through years of colonialism putting its hand in things, putting its hand, manipulating the people to make people think this because it makes sense. And look, giving you an example, like, look at that country over there. You see what they try to do? That could be you guys. So it's never to point fingers at somebody. It's just more or less for you to look and listen and understand, look at the bigger picture. And I'll give you a prime example. And this is to bring up even the Colin Kaepernick thing, right? They crucified that man about not standing up, saluting the Star-Spangled Banner. Policy in the NBA, you have to stand for the Star-Spangled Banner. You want to know the irony behind it? This is the fucking irony behind this shit. And it's like telling the Jews to stand up and sing a song in which Hitler wrote, talking about killing them. Just wouldn't happen. And I had to do research on that. If you look up the third stanza of the Star-Spangled Banner, it was talking about slaves not being free and to kill the slaves, because you have to understand, slaves were forced to fight in the war. Some knowingly fought in the war, but during when the Star-Spangled Banner was written, slaves were still in slavery. Blacks were still in slavery. So basically, it didn't land of the free, home of the brave. That meant nothing in that stanza, nothing in the Star-Spangled Banner was ever directed towards us. And the things that were directed towards us was based on the free slaves trying to fight to be free, even though we, as you come to find out, we really weren't really that free. And he stated that, and to kill the slave shall not be free, within the third stanza, which most people don't hear. So you have to understand, if you don't know your history, you don't have ammo for when someone tells you to tell you you must do something. And it goes back again to what I was telling you before. We are a race of people who've been slapped, spit upon, and we still keep taking. And even when we try to say we're not doing something, we still get checked and say, hey, you need to still do it. Even though historically it's shown, documents show that the Star-Spangled Banner was nothing out of any race, we damn sure shouldn't be fucking singing it. I always say something and you gotta stand by it. Sometimes he tells you to stand up and sing the Star-Spangled Banner. You better have a good argument, because you do understand your history and understand, like, no, I don't do it because if you actually look at what the Star Spangled Banner means, and if you look at the third stanza, look at the person who wrote it, understand that this wasn't something that was meant for my people to actually stand up and sing, because it wasn't really meant for us to have. And the person who wrote it didn't mean for me to be standing up to sing it. And again, like I said, you couldn't do that to another race. You couldn't have, again, a Jew get up and sing a song based on something that Hitler wrote for them to sing that wasn't really even directed towards them. Just wouldn't happen. But again, it's another smack in the face because we don't know our history. I would say one thing. Out of all the years I've lived, I've actually looked and read things. I recently just bought another book, which was called Message to the Black Man in America by Elijah Muhammad. I'm not Muslim or anything of that sort, but I just wanted to read a book and know and better myself. And again, I must say, to read things to better you as a person does not mean that you're knocking somebody else down. It just means to literally better yourself, to be knowledgeable of self. Because at the end of the day, what am I living for if I'm not bettering myself? What am I living for if I'm not able to teach somebody? And again, it's never to teach hate. It's just to be able to teach somebody history. Because when you learn who you are as a person, where you come from, you're able to understand where you're possibly going. You're able to teach your friends. You're able to teach your children. You're able to teach your friends who have no idea, but you should know about it if you're going to teach somebody something or explain to somebody. Give them the knowledge of where to go. And you'll be surprised. By intermingling, you'll see that there are most people who really are concerned or really are inquisitive to why things are the way they are. And I would say to all my brothers and sisters in Hispanic ethnicity, please, if anything, read more. Understand more. Get knowledge of self. And understand that we are all brothers and sisters. We were dropped off at different places. We were set off in certain situations. And it's like, I recognize that it's nothing to be proudful. I mean, it's not a knock on anybody for them to be proud. Even sometimes I say when white folks want to be proud of where they came from, whatever, it's okay. You can't control your history. What you can do is better yourself through understanding your history and say, hey, I wouldn't want that to continue. And that's it. It's just called, at the end of the day, it's called education. So, normally I would have eventually ended this with some funny shit, but being that it was the last episode of the month, I just want to just talk about that because I think I realized the show is really based upon shooting the ish, I should say. And look, I'll have an episode where I don't want to talk about ignorant shit. I may want to just talk about something that was on my mind, because that's what we do as a podcast, right? Some people may choose to want to view it. Some people may choose not to. It's just something that I'll talk about. But, another thing, it's not that I'm going to have a topic about it. Look up the Harlem Hellfighters. Just check it out. Just check out the story about the Harlem Hellfighters. Great. And I think you probably can go on YouTube and look it up too. Just if you don't want to read about it, you can just listen about it, or check out a documentary about the Harlem Hellfighters. But I would say, and what I'm going to do on the page, I'll have some links where you can go to check out some of the stories, or you can check out this documentary. It was called in Latin America. Great documentary. And that will tell you a lot of stuff. But I always say this, within anything, I hope that you guys definitely learned something from the podcast. But it was just something that I just thought I wanted to just talk about. And I hope you guys are tuning in. And for all those who do watch, again, like I said, I appreciate it. For those of you guys that are actually subscribing, I definitely appreciate it. But for the rest of you guys, definitely subscribe to the page. I definitely will appreciate it, because at the end of the day, I am truly, truly, truly appreciative for all those who tune in. And I'm doing my job to be very consistent, come to you guys every week. Maybe not be every Sunday, but I know it's definitely every week. And, please leave comments, subscribe. Let me know what I can do to be better. Let me know if there's even any topics that you want me to even discuss. Tell me what it is that you prefer. Tell me some of the things you like. Your feedback is definitely important. And, I definitely, again, hope you guys enjoy the show. And as I told most of my friends who definitely watch it, I was like, you have no idea. It's 3 o'clock right now. And I swear, consistency is the key no matter what time it is. But I'm up to 3 o'clock trying to do this. And the episode will definitely be coming out tomorrow. And thank you again for tuning in to Shoot the Ish.